Hello, everybody. It's Jen. This question came up twice in 24 hours, which means that people have thoughts about it or questions about it, since it was pretty much the same question. So I thought that I would address it here. And the question was essentially when I'm doing a movement practice and I have fear, what is the best way to address that fear and work towards the edge? Because here's the thing, if you push too far into a fear place, your nervous system will go on high alert. You will brace, you will hold, and your likelihood of accomplishing the skill in a coordinated way goes whoop, because the nervous system rules all. So if you feel scared about something, then one of the best things you can do is step back and say, which aspect of this movement is scary? Why is it scary? Almost always the aspect of the movement that is scary is the one that involves a weight shift or the one that involves a fall or the one that involves both of those things. Because let's be realistic, it is scary to have to transfer your weight and trust the fall. So what can you do about that? You can obviously make the movement a whole lot smaller and see where your edge is. At what point do you trust the weight shift? At what point do you trust the fall? If I'm thinking about something like a handstand, something I frequently see in handstand is people will stand up, they'll take their arms overhead, and then they'll take their hands to the floor and try and kick up. The hands starting overhead is so far away from the floor. So that's going to be scary for your brain. Your brain's going, wait a minute, how am I going to get the weight from way up there to way down here, right? So if you crouch down in your handstand and you slide your hands forward along the floor and then you play with transferring your weight, that often feels a whole lot more secure. And gradually, as you get used to all of that, you can have your hands in different places and, move from standing to your handstand and see how that goes. So that's one of the easiest ways to do it. One of the easiest ways to start to approach your edge. Just figure out where can I transform, where, at what point am I scared, and what is the smallest fall I can make. The other way you can really shift your experience of a movement is by feeling really secure in your starting point. So if you feel a lot of connection with your whatever is anchored before you start, that's going to make the whole weight shift situation feel much safer. So if I am, again, starting in a handstand, trying to get to a handstand, and I'm starting standing, and I don't have a lot of pressure in my feet, and I try to do it from straight legs, and I don't have the flexibility for it. So I'm a good example of this because this does not work for me. So if I go here, I don't have a lot of pressure in my feet, and then I try to transfer my weight, not much happens. It's different if I have deep hip flexion and I can not even take the feet off the ground and just slide forward and lift up into my hands. That feels very safe. But if I am here, I don't have a lot of pressure in my feet, and I try and get somewhere, nothing happens. So I need to figure out how to get more pressure into my feet before I transfer weight into my hands. One way to do that is, again, to crouch down. It's just an easy transition for this. And then from there, if I understand how to navigate placing more pressure through the metatarsal portion of my foot, that's going to feel a whole lot more secure so that I can play with kicking up. I'm using the handstand as an example because, again, that's one where people often get tripped up. But the same thing is true of a shoulder roll. The same thing can be true of just simply going from standing down to the ground. There's lots of places where people experience this fear. You can apply these concepts that I'm outlining right now to any of those. So I've said a lot of words. I strongly encourage you to try some of this and just see, give yourself a permission to explore where your sticking point is, where your fear is, where the weight shift is, where the fall is, and then what anchors you. If you can tinker with any of these three variables, then your experience of the movement, I can guarantee, will shift. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And as always, like, share, subscribe if you felt like this content was useful. All right.